from the Zimmer Radio Network headquarters.
As my uncle, President John F. Kennedy, said, progress is a nice word, but change is its motivator, and change has its enemies.
It's your morning addiction.
That those brave, courageous women are treated with dignity and respect.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
Bypassing the Democrats' filibuster in the United States Senate.
The Zimmer News Team. And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Senate Republicans showed the American people where they stand. Not for families struggling with the high costs of childcare, groceries, gasoline, electricity, but for pumping $140 billion towards rogue agencies.
Well, there's Senator Chuck the Snake Schumer framing what will be the argument going into the midterms, and that is, do you want border security, safety for your kids, for your wife, for your sons and daughters and husbands and aunts and uncles, or do you want the government to do more welfare and tax and spend? The Republicans are on a mission now to, through reconciliation, get DHS funded, finally. So maybe that'll unfold. I'm Randy Tobler. How you doing? And Peter, how you doing? In for Stephanie, Peter Thiel. There he is.
I'm going to tell you something, Marsh and Tobler.
Yeah.
I think that I've found more upbeat morticians than Chuck Schumer. We're talking about a guy, I mean, he has such little ability when he gives these little speeches. It's like everything's doom and gloom, everything's the end. It's oh my God, it's just get over it. And I've never met the man, but I know people who've been around him. They say he's a great guy. He's fun and funny. Well, you never hear that with his speeches. He's a mortician.
Knows how to make a great cheeseburger, I hear, too.
Yeah, talk about, if you eat one of his cheeseburgers, you're going to get some worms.
Oh, man, I'm telling you.
Oh, he's the king of the recoiled and reviled and all the, all the modifiers that he uses on anything that comes across the other side of the aisle.
And I don't know, he just seems that his public persona is so negative all the time. And it's
man.
And lately he's just been struggling to even read a lot of the speeches that otherwise are, I think, that they're supposed to be. They're written to be more inspirational and, hey, the Democrats are going to save you from your financial woes. But it never comes off that way because he's struggling to read the darn thing.
Yeah, I've attended several things where people are reading speeches over the last few months. Just speak from your heart.
Yeah.
No one's going to care. No one will care if you stumble over something.
No.
Or just be real. That's what we need. We need authenticity. That's the appeal of Donald Trump. He's real authentic. Now, he may drive you up the wall from time to time. He may say something that's impolite, but he's speaking from his heart. Bingo, dunno.
Yeah, it's a rare day where he even uses any bullet points in front of him.
Correct. And it's and his news conferences sometimes can become quite the rambling deal.
Now,
sometimes.
All that said, later on in the show, we're going to ask Peter if he's going to have to take down one of his favorite pinup posters in his house. Speaking of real versus fake, I know that you have this pinup poster of this MAGA patriot girl named Emily Hart, right? Don't you have that in your, Peter? Don't you have that in your guy cave somewhere?
Oh, all over my house. It's all over my house.
Bachelor Peter Thiel, I know you have that there. Were you DMing this AI who was contrived by a surgical resident in India?
Do you know what? That one I have not seen. There's another one.
Well, there you go, Peter.
That's it's a nice AI bikini shot. And now the deal is with this is that there's another one that's been showing up. This one is modestly dressed. Mm-hmm. So I could look at it at church. Mm-hmm. But it's so much an AI bot that is just anyone who and it shows up in my timeline, and you click on this thing once, Randy, and it's going to show up in your timeline over and over again.
Get it over and over.
You're going to get nothing but mega influencers in bikinis, which I'm not against.
No, Peter's not against that. Now, we do have some other big news. Yesterday, we were I think we were crying in our beer a little bit about the Virginia gerrymandering and how, that was going to be a net gain of 4 seats for the Virginians and for the Democrats. And but a judge right away struck that down. Then he dismissed a motion to put a stay on his injunction. And so this thing's going to probably rapidly go to the Virginia Supreme Court. Why does that matter? Well, I mean, Missouri added a couple to the Republican side. One. And Texas, 3, 4, 3?
Something like that, yes.
And then California took back a few. I mean, it's been a back-and-forth seesaw battle. Now it's become the battle of gerrymandering instead of, some reasonable districting. And when you look at these districts, it looks like something like a 4-year-old kid would draw, Peter, if you just gave him a crayon and a map of the state and said, draw some lines.
Okay, I'm going to throw out something maybe controversial, and I apologize for it. Right? No, I'm one of the most staid and quiet people ever. Well. Is it time for for states like Missouri and other states around the country to basically do sort of a jungle election like parliament for congressional seats, so there is no gerrymandering? You go in, and if your state has, we have 7 in Missouri, 7 or 8? 8. You go in and vote for your top 8.
So you just rank them, you mean?
Yes.
You're thinking about ranked choice?
Alaska.
Well, not ranked choice. You go in as just the top 8 people get into Congress.
You just make 8 choices, and whoever the top 8 vote getters are win.
Yeah.
Right?
And it takes away all the district stuff out of there. Now, the big concern is that it would take away some of the concerns of the rural, the farmers, and that type of thing.
Yeah.
But in a state like Missouri, I don't think that's as much of a worry as you would think, mainly because the Democrats will go after each other. It's like the reason why the Democrats went after Eric Swalwell was not because he was a sexual harasser and doping up random women. It was because the Democrats realized they couldn't win the governorship if he remained in the seat and it came out. So they took him out early. That's the reason.
The guy was just, he was drawn and quartered quicker than, you talk about dropping someone like a lead balloon. Oh, man, did they go after him.
And by the way, one of the witnesses, I read an article one of the witnesses who said that that Eric Swalwell assaulted her at some sort of a deal, it's been confirmed she was not at the event. And not in that city.
No, really?
Yeah, so the Democrats did a chop job on him. And I hate to defend Eric Swalwell. I'm not defending bad behavior.
Are you saying he was Kavanaugh'd, or just one person was a contrived
I don't know yet. I have a feeling.
Don't know.
I have a feeling more of these may be contrived. I think they wanted him out of there. I think that the Democrats looked at him as a long-term liability, and they wanted him out of there. Now he's probably somebody that they can't control. He was great when he was prosecuting Trump and screaming about Trump all day, but having Eric Swalwell be governor is not something that the senior fundraising and government leadership of the deep state could control, and they can't have that. That's why Swalwell's gone.
Recall the video that has allegedly been shot by an underage woman of him cavorting in a hotel room with an underage sex worker, prostitute. Could that have been contrived? It looked awfully real. That didn't look AI, what I saw.
Again, I don't know. And the other thing is that did they look at the ID of the potential underage hooker? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, you're right. No,
how do you determine that?
But he did admit that in a way that, he apologized to his family and so forth, that usual thing. So, I don't know.
It's Chris Hansen didn't show up.
No, that's true. Well, but
where's Chris Hansen? If Chris Hansen ain't there, I don't buy it.
Remember this guy named Barack Obama that was, he was right in the heat of the battle as they were coming around the home stretch of that Virginia gerrymandering thing, said, we got to get this done, Virginia, and you got to do that.
And paraphrased his Obamacare line, said, you like your map? You can keep your map.
Yeah, and I came up, I found a little something from Obama when maybe he had a different opinion back in the day.
The process of political gerrymandering, I think is damaging to Congress. I don't think the insiders should draw the lines and decide who their voters are. Because I think that and Democrats and Republicans do this, and it's great for incumbents, but it means over time that people aren't competing for the center because they know that if they win a Democratic primary or Republican primary, they've won.
Now, in fairness, this was a public referendum. It wasn't a legislative affair, that went right to the voters.
Yeah, but it was written by the governor and her toadies.
Boy, I tell you that Americans, we've always seen politicians campaign in one way and then govern in another, right, to some degree. And tacking as you go from the primary to the general from
this
more...
loon in Virginia, she went completely off the rails. And I think that as we go through, if the Democrats likely, sadly, will get control of the House. The Senate, I think, will remain in Republican hands. But I'm going to tell you, you're going to see crazy stuff because the Democrats' nuttiness has been unleashed.
It's going to be impeach-a-palooza again for another 2 years. We'll see that. And in a way, though, I don't know. I guess on a big picture, the less that Congress does, the happier I am, usually. They keep fiddling around with our lives and taking our money and redistributing it to corrupt and fraudulent-prone initiatives and institutions and grants and NGOs getting off with murder economically while everyday Americans are gutting it out. I think that's a lane for Republicans to say, look, ladies and gentlemen, how do you like what happened in Minnesota with the Leering Center? How do you like the hospices on burrito trucks in Los Angeles? How do you like, if you want more of that, vote for Democrats.
How many, just being fair, do we know how many fraudulent hospice centers and child care centers are in Missouri? How close is the government watching those on the state level? Yeah. And I bet you I don't think that this is at a scale that we saw in Minnesota or California. I have a belief, though, it is happening, probably in St. Louis, happening in Kansas City.
Heck, remember what Eric Schmidt said when we had him on the radio? Eric Schmidt said he was very concerned about very similar kinds of things happening in Missouri.
But isn't that the nature, guys, of these kind of programs? I mean, the money gets put out there, and what do, right? I mean, are you going to, if you're the bureaucrat in D.C., are you going to be visiting that center every 3 months? No, you're not. And you just depend on their reporting, right? So I don't know. Peter, I think you make a good point. I think it may be closer than anyone would like to admit. That's Peter Thiel in for Stephanie. Of course, John's there, and he'll bring us the daily D.C. rundown when we come back. I'm Randy Tobler, and Drake Whitman is trying to herd all these cats. We'll be back on Wake Up Missouri.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
pay their own people. They're losing $500 million every single day. Carg Island is completely full of oil because they can't transport it to and from. So the president, the cards are in his hands.
Time for the Daily DC Rundown with John Marsh.
Yep, Iran renewed its strikes on commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz yesterday while calling the U.S. military blockade of Iranian ports a breach of the ongoing ceasefire. President, meanwhile, says he's extending the ceasefire with Iran indefinitely, backing off a threat to resume attacks if the regime didn't accept his terms. Republicans cheering the circuit court victory in Virginia that showed Democrats' redistricting efforts are not quite over. Despite the referendum to accept the new map drawn up by the Democrats and got approved by the voters, Virginia Court Circuit Judge Jack Hurley ruled one day after that all the votes for or against the proposed redistricting amendment are unconstitutional. Senate adopts a budget resolution after a marathon overnight series, a key step. Republicans moving ahead with a plan to fund the immigration agencies under Homeland Security without the help from the Dems. It was a 50-48 vote. Republican Senators Rand Paul and Lisa Murkowski, only members of the party to break ranks and vote against the resolution. So now headed on to the House. We'll see what happens over there.
So is Rand Paul's objection to this maneuver that it's going to potentially raise the deficit by $140 million?
Yes, he's brought that up.
I think that's what it's about.
And again, the idea here is that I like Rand Paul's ideas. I agree with him on many things. But what politics is the art of compromise. It's getting what you can get and then later on getting more. And Rand seems to be one of these people that if I can't get everything I want, I'm voting no. And I find that type of politician not helpful to help get conservative change done. I think he's a grandstander, and I think he needs to retire.
Well, he and Tom Massey are ideologically purists, right? I mean, I think that's what's going on, and ultimately they don't get a whole lot done. However, aren't voices like theirs important to hear? I think while they may not be tactically successful, aren't those voices in our minds important to hear, especially people who don't get the whole idea of this country's founding and our principles? That's been lost on many.
Well, but they're not listening to that. You're thinking that the vast populace is listening to what Rand Paul says in a committee meeting. They don't. Rand Paul should be doing stuff like this. Here's what we were able to do. This is why I'm voting for it. But what I'm not happy about is I wish we could do more with this. And I'm going to continue to push for those things.
But that wouldn't have made news. It makes news when he's sort of way out there ideologically. Grandstand. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'd rather have NPR trumpet the fact that he was an outlier. At least the word does get out there to them. I doubt NPR is talking about that. No. Well, there you go. That's the Daily DC Rundown with John Marsh. Later on, we're going to talk to Senator Curtis Trent. Of course, he's embroiled, as are all the senators, in the budget discussions in Jefferson City. And Stephen Bucci coming up at 8:08. Stay tuned. Stephanie's out today and tomorrow. Peter will be in today and tomorrow. And John's there and hanging out as always with us. And Drake Whitman, glad you're with us. 573-874-9390 is the text line. If you'd like to call us, it's 800-529-5572. And we'd like to hang out with you at a couple of upcoming events. We're going to be at the American Legion Post along with, it's going to be a great mix of young conservatives / Republicans and more seasoned Republicans. That is the Turning Point USA chapter here at Mizzou and the Boone County Central Committee Republicans and, of course, Wake Up Missouri. At the Ice Cream Social coming up, Peter, next Tuesday. What's your favorite color of ice cream? You and Joe Biden. What do you like?
I have no problem with vanilla. Yeah, which is Biden's sort of jam.
Yeah.
I chocolate chip.
Yeah,
strong.
Okay,
that's gonna be at that American Legion. I can't wait to be
American
out for
Legion
that.
Post. Yeah,
Peter, you would not be a good quarterback at Oregon. By the way, you answered that question. Have you heard about this? So the quarterback coach, he determines whether someone's going to start or like if they're quarterback worthy by asking them chocolate or vanilla ice cream. And if they hesitate for a second, then he says no. And you hesitated. You would not be an Oregon quarterback.
Okay, I wouldn't be a quarterback anyways for Oregon because number one, I'm a little too old, a little long in the tooth.
Yeah. And he doesn't have any eligibility left.
Yes, and I couldn't really lace them up and throw a perfect spiral.
No.
So I think I'm safe.
People. You can believe that.
Laura Ingraham, did you see the spiral she threw the other day? I don't. She was. I guess they were some kind of having some fun at some practice with. I don't know the team. She threw a beautiful spiral pass. Laura
those
Ingraham.
those NFL footballs though, very different than the college ball.
Especially if the Patriots are involved.
It's a smaller ball.
Yeah,
and
especially if you deflate it for Tom Brady.
That's it.
Yeah, he wants to get good grip on it. I don't blame him.
So are they a different conformation? I didn't know.
Yeah, they're a much smaller ball.
Yeah,
they're not much smaller. They are smaller in different shape. The college balls are a lot more round instead of
fatter.
They're fatter.
That's why you don't see a lot of perfect spirals in college ball. It's mainly because it gets up there like a duck.
And I thought it was youth and inexperience. Blame it on the ball. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're teaching the kids early to be victims. They're victim of the ball. I can't throw a spiral because of the ball. Yeah. They grow up to be victim young people.
NFL balls don't have white stripes on them either, right?
Yeah, I think college football should move to the pro ball.
Absolutely. Everything else is moving to. It might as well be. They have agents and. They can hold everyone hostage because they can go through the portal and no loyalty to the team, just like NFLers. They can learn early. All right, so we're going to do this America 250 Ice Cream Social. That's the 28th. That's next Tuesday. That'll be a sweet celebration for America's 250th. Come out and say hi. No registration needed. It's at 5:30 here in Columbia. If you want to hang out with us, and it goes till 8. The American Legion Post there in Columbia. Now, and Peter, you're going to be behind the bar serving pints of what kind of beer at the studios of KWTO?
There's going to be a wide variety of Missouri beers at that big KWTO. It's a cash bar. They also have a little bit of wine and have some soft drinks there. Mm-hmm. And we're asking people to RSVP for this. Go to 933kwto.com. Sign up for that right now and hang out with syndicated radio star Eric Erickson and hang out with Gary and Stephanie and Randy, former speaker Elijah Haar, afternoon host at KWTO will be there. And you sadly get to see me.
No, everyone will be happy to see you. Now, I have to ask you, I got to thinking about this. How far are we away in Missouri, in these United States, to where there'll be cash buds at the bar? If since we've pretty much exchanged,
they're already there. It's you can get what they call a social tonic.
Okay.
At many bars.
Yeah. Okay.
You can buy them at liquor stores, which is liquid weed.
Yeah.
Happy seltzers.
And I don't know how many of the bars have them and the rules. Yeah. Mainly because I'm not at the bars a lot. And if I'm going there, I'm meeting a couple of friends. And normally I have like a beer or a vodka tonic. But
I got to thinking about that, though. I mean, the classic, event center engagement or any kind of you're at a convention, there's the social hour, right? It's a bar with booze and wine and beer and some soft drinks, right? So we're seeing the ingestion of alcohol go down, 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 down. We've reported on that. And a lot of the distilleries have gone belly up, and I don't know how the beer industry is doing. I imagine it's holding its own, but distilleries, wineries, they're hurting. Meanwhile, marijuana use is, exponentially going up. So why don't they just have a bud tender right next to the bartender and you have a cash bud or a cash bar?
I think that legislation, though, that passed with the hemp-derived THC candies and sodas and all that, I think that will keep them out of the bars. Yeah, because it said they're only supposed to be sold now at dispensaries.
Well, I was at a local liquor store, and I was looking at beers. I'm a fan of stouts and beers like that, and they had an area where it wasn't refrigerated. And I was looking at them, and all of a sudden I saw the THC laced seltzers. And next to that, and this is like, I don't know, in the last few weeks. So,
well, the bill that the governor signed, I know, doesn't kick in until I think November. So maybe that will all change then.
I don't know. It's really evident that you've never been to a dispensary, Randy, because they need to get a full rectal scan of you and everything.
Whoa, hello?
Not actually, but they pat you down to just go in and buy, a doobie or whatever. So, I mean, it's very high.
You know what, Randy? Let's go on. You don't have to get anything, but let's go on a field trip to walk through one.
Maybe someday.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
I have more consequential things to do in my life. I think I'll pass on that.
They do have drive-thrus.
Well, Ben texts us. We're talking about the difference in college, the size of footballs, college and NFL. Ben says, hate small balls.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Thanks for letting us know, I guess. It's,
he needs to head to the NFL then. Where the big ones are.
So I've been doing a little comparison of the types of things that people self-medicate themselves with,
Yes.
So, of course, alcohol's been there for time immemorial, and now, of course, and so has weed and peyote if you're a Native American, but they work through different mechanisms. But the ironic thing is, both of those self-administered medications and dispensed, and basically regulated medications actually make the very things that most people use them for worse: depression, anxiety. Ironically, they may cause immediate relief, but the data is pretty clear that over the long term, they only change those things for the worse. Alcohol may actually do a little bit more in that realm. However, marijuana does do the THC. The data is pretty worrisome for THC, especially for people in there up to their 25th, 26th birthday, when that judgment center and the motivation centers in the brain, the prefrontal cortex, is developing. I did a deep dive into that the other day. That's where I'm worried. I think that this, especially like daily regular use, can lead to motivational deficits that can be lifelong then. Just basically complacency and sort of a flat vibe,
Well,
and that concerns me.
Our homeless encampments are filled with people who have been many of them have been put on medication for mental health issues. And they don't like the medicine, so they end up treating themselves. Yeah. And then if you want to talk about the ultimate WebMD sort of place where people are trying to treat their own health, go and have a conversation with homeless people.
Yeah.
And it's you'll find out, they'll go, yeah, it didn't work for me. So, you're homeless now, though. What does that work?
You're right. No, so, I mean, it is, and I think it speaks to a larger problem we have in America, and that is a lack of some early and effective mental health care for people. And, just how to manage things, and then people end up, sometimes making it worse by temporarily making it better. So, yeah, come down and visit us at the May 6th event. That'll be fun with Eric Erickson hanging out. Of course, you hear him on KWTO in the afternoons. And, boy, if there ever was a solid pillar in the conservative movement, it's Eric Erickson.
Yeah,
Didn't you say so?
Yeah, he's great.
Founded Red State.
Yeah, redstate.com. I mean, he's a great guy. So I've met him a few times, and just people love meeting him.
Yeah. Seems to be a pretty warm person, just on air anyway. Seems to be.
Yeah, no, what you see is what you get with Eric Erickson.
Yeah.
It really is.
Good. That'll be fun. So, ice cream in Columbia on the 28th, and politics and pints in Springfield on May 6th. We'll have a lot of fun there. All right. When we come back, there's people often ask me, Peter, I can't lose weight. I can't drop weight. And what's the one thing I could do that may help me? Just a little change that I can do to do that. Well,
go to the buffet?
Probably not. unless it's the roasted veggie buffet.
Right. Salad bar.
Yeah. Well, even that can get you into trouble. We'll talk about that. And I agree with RFK in his recent testimony about this particular habit. If you're into it, you may want to break it because, man, it's an easy, low-hanging fruit to drop some weight. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up
How much sugar do you eat in a day? Have you thought about that? Are you conscious of your sugar intake, Peter?
Yeah. I the only quote unquote raw sugar that I do on a daily basis is I throw a little a packet into my coffee, my Caldi's coffee first thing in the morning. I have a couple of those deals, and that's it. But obviously some of the foods that we eat have sugar added to it. And I try to look real good, except for what happened yesterday, where someone dropped off.
Oh yeah,
a cinnamon roll type thing, and I had to take a slice of that sucker.
Yeah. Well, look, most authorities would say that you want to limit, and I think you should even probably cut it down more than this, but to weigh less than 10% of your daily caloric intake. So that would be no more than, maybe 30, 40 grams of sugar at the most, okay? That's just a few teaspoons. And that's including in everything you're eating and what's, in the cooking and everything. Well, here's the problem. Many people listening, many people on a regular basis are getting at their favorite coffee shop the frappuccino.
That's
ice,
basically sugar with a little bit of coffee in it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
I love those, but I get that probably about once a year.
Well, so look.
Also, $12 for a cup of coffee seems to be a little stiff.
Do you have any idea, just to give you an example, a grande Starbucks frappuccino, how many grams of sugar do you think is in there?
40.
55.
That's close.
That is like 2 to 3 times what you should be having in a whole day, and a lot of people are doing that every morning. Not to mention, there's dairy product in there, which is often another added bunch of fat, And so one of these babies are just loaded with nutrition-less calories, right?
Yeah.
And
if I go to the fancy coffee shop, usually I get a latte.
Okay.
And I'll add a little bit of raw sugar to it. And I usually get the syrup, the almond syrup, or sometimes caramel.
Yeah. And as we are doing more and more in-depth look into people's inflammatory status and their body composition and stuff, it's just as a routine matter to help guide nutritional advice and lifestyle advice, we're finding that when we ask people to actually really sort of diary what they're eating, that alone is an awareness thing. You start thinking, oh, man, I had a little snack here and a couple of, warheads here, and, there was a licorice. Someone had some licorice there. And you start thinking about the sugar that you take in a day, and it's really easy to do that.
And I think most of us, just depending on it, is that most of the sugar I have is at the workplace.
Yeah.
Because, there's, it's right here at Zimmer Radio Network. It is not unusual for all of a sudden to go into the break room and someone's brought in a pie.
Yeah.
Or a cake.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you, there's a pie or a cake there. I'm getting a slice.
It's hard to avoid. I mean, especially if you're on air, the stress leads to the craving for these kind of things. And ironically, these things your body knows when you're not getting nutrition. And by that, I mean information for your cells, building blocks for your body, things that actually make a difference. Now, you do need some energy, but you don't need as much as you're eating. And it's that caloric excess that results in weight gain. And not only that, but sugar leads to insulin spikes, and in a vicious cycle, insulin makes you put on more fat, which then makes you more insulin resistant, which makes you crave more carbohydrates, and it becomes a vicious cycle. So if you can, try to cut out the sugar in your diet. And for that matter, the starches, the processed grains, things made like flour, floury things, baked goods, your body sort of treats that like sugar. Oh, Peter, we have a text on the text line, 573-874-9390. Good for you, Daniel. Daniel says, I cut sugar out of my diet 2 weeks ago. I've already lost a few pounds. And so that's my point. If you're going to the coffee shop, and you're used to getting the iced, frappuccino thing, sweet and all that. Peter has a great idea. Step down to a coffee with a little bit of, just tell them to put some skim milk in there. Put them to regular milk,
and you can
1%
do,
milk.
And sometimes with the latte thing, but it just adds on. I've actually added in either oat milk and that works out, and it tastes great.
Yeah.
and that works out very, very well.
And CJ says, are we including natural sugars in fruits and vegetables? I think that raw sugar has a different action on your body than eaten as a whole part of a fruit, where you do get some fructose there, but it's not sucrose. It's different. And when you're eating sugar, fruit sugar, as a part of a fibrous, rich fruit, it's processed in a totally different way. But look, we always like to say, eat your vegetables and fruits rather than eat your fruits and vegetables, because vegetables are where it is at. Let's make Missouri healthy again today. Well, Drake says, back with more Wake Up Missouri in a moment.
and change has its enemies.
It's your morning addiction.
That those brave, courageous women are treated with dignity and respect.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
Bypassing the Democrats' filibuster in the United States Senate.
The Zimmer News Team. And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Iran has gone from having the most lethal navy in the Middle East to now acting like a bunch of pirates. They don't have control over the strait. This is piracy that we are seeing on display.
Well, we have battles on the high seas. Well, maybe not so high. The high Hormuz Straits, with the Iranians firing on vessels and then taking over vessels. The White House saying, well, those aren't U.S. or Israeli flagships, so let them do what they will. The others can deal with it. The Panamanians are saying, hey, keep your hands off our ships. The U.S. is commandeering ships thousands of miles away that allegedly are, on their way to China with oil. And the battle goes on. We'll be talking with Stephen Bucci at 8:08 here on Wake Up Missouri about the latest on Iran and how that conflict continues to be now an economic fury, not so much kinetic fury. Talking with Curtis Trent, Senator Trent, to see what's going on in the Senate regarding the budget deliberations at 7:35. I'm Randy Tobler. Peter Thiel in for Stephanie Bell, John Marsh, and Drake Whitman. And, of course, you are always a big part of the show. Call us at 800-529-5572. The text line 573-874-9390. Now, tonight's a big night because it's the NFL draft.
Yep.
Where do the Chiefs stand in the draft this year?
We have the 9 pick, don't we?
Yeah, and here's, I think, the deal for the Chiefs, which obviously has needs. I don't know. I would think they would be after a decent receiver. It's actually the 7th pick now. There was a trade, and so it's
they should trade down,
and they traded up, and so it's widely believed they're picking, according to Arrowhead Addict, that Reuben Bain Jr. from Miami, that wonderful college, is likely to go through there. But I look, the thing with Patrick Mahomes is that he's got to be protected, and he's got to have somebody that can really be a reliable number one receiver. You never know when Rashee Rice is going to be going to jail again. It's
good point.
I just didn't get the sense he had any protection. I mean, the O-line just wasn't cutting the mustard all that.
Yeah, but it's easier if you can quickly throw it to somebody who's open and ready to go. And these receivers were, B, number 2 or number 3 receivers. Yeah. And Patrick Mahomes deserves to have a guy who is a number 1, a dominator. And that's, I think, one of the problems the Chiefs have had. And hopefully they can get what they need. And I know that the Chiefs went and have upgraded their running game and all that sort of stuff. But having that right type of receiver there would make a whole lot of sense.
Speaking of trading up or trading down, it sounds like reporter Deanna Rossini and Patriots coach Mike Vrabel were trading away from their spouses for a little bit. Got Mike Vrabel into some trouble. Rossini
she got fired.
He got fired?
Unjustly. I mean, come on. They
Why
just
blame
locked
the woman?
fingers.
Why blame the woman? Sitting in a hot tub together, probably not good.
She's Italian. That's how they show affection over there. I mean, come on.
It was just a good European hug.
If they had more, they have no actual proof. They would have said it if they did, but there's nothing there. It's just two people in the same industry that are at the same hotel. That's all.
Yeah, and they just are holding hands and stuff. I think that's great. Now it's
in the hot tub.
Now the married guys here, Marsh and Tobler.
Yeah.
There's pictures of you guys holding hands with a woman other than your wife showing up. That doesn't go well at home, does it?
Never. No.
That's not. And again, the idea here is that you're an NFL coach. You're one of 32 people that do that role. You are at a peak of type of stuff. And he was a former player. He's a huge guy.
He's a big dude.
And she's a very well-known, by just looks, reporter. Well, being at a thing, from everything we understand, it was without their spouses. And they're hanging out together.
This was an adults-only resort in Arizona.
And again...
It's not like it's Disney.
And so Mike Vrabel now is going to, on the third day of the draft, is going to be, quote-unquote, having a little therapy.
Is he out of the gig? They've fired him.
No, they haven't fired him.
They haven't fired him.
He's
going to get some therapy. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm guessing his wife isn't all that happy with him. It's now I may be wrong. You guys may want to argue with me that Mike Vrabel's wife's thrilled to death that he's holding hands and hugging a beautiful reporter.
They're dancing together while hugging at sunset.
Yeah,
this was one of Peter's favorite first reads. It's on your favorites bar, isn't it? Page 6.
Page 6. Yeah.
What is that? A tabloid?
New York Post.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a great organization.
So it sounds like Mike's got himself into some trouble. Rossini, on the other hand, is married with 2 kids. She said the photos don't represent the group of 6 people who were hanging out during the day. Like most journalists, reporters interact with sources away from stadiums and other venues. Well, there you go.
Yeah, well, okay, you're hanging out with 6 people, and ironically, the only pictures of you holding somebody's hand is with Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, because the person who took the pictures is an Eagles fan. This is all a setup. I mean, there's no way that this is actual credible, like, a pedestrian walked by. You've seen the pictures, Peter. You know that those pictures are very staged and everything like that. This is an Eagles fan who got mad at Diana Rossini for writing about A.J. Brown going to the Patriots. Well, that's what this is all about.
It's perhaps Mike Pence was right.
Oh, yeah. The idea here that you are a person in a professional atmosphere and you have an office. It's when I've had an office as a boss and I'm working with a female staffer, I always left the door open on purpose.
Me too.
And always went in because you have to have direct interactions with your supervisor.
Yeah.
The idea here that Mike Pence got all this guff for making sure somebody was in the room when there was a woman there makes all the sense in the world. So Billy Graham, you're familiar with him?
Well, of course.
So I have a buddy of mine who did an event with Billy Graham. And Billy had to go get to the airport, and they had a female staffer that was going to drive him.
Okay.
And he said, nope.
Wow.
It has to be at least 2 people.
Yeah.
And
but it does look
it makes all the sense in the world.
But I'm going to ask a very practical question. Look, we live in a world where increasingly women are in positions of influence in business.
Correct.
Men and women regularly do business over lunch. Sometimes both parties in a marriage are business people or have...
Yeah, no, I get it.
So fundamentally, is there anything fundamentally wrong with having a business lunch with a vendor or a customer who is of the opposite sex?
Well, but if you're married, if you're holding hands with that person and hugging on them all the time, probably not a good idea.
But there still is a stigma associated with that, right? And should there be, is the question.
No, there shouldn't, because then people like Diana Rossini lose her job while Mike Vrabel gets to say something and gets completely off the hook. This is a complete misrepresentation of the situation.
Well, and quite frankly, it's I don't understand why she's considered the bad person in this. She lost her job immediately, and Mike Vrabel did not. And this looks bad for the NFL all at the same time.
Well, she stepped away. She wasn't fired, was she?
She was fired.
That's basically fired. No, the reason is because she's an insider and she gets all these, inside leaks and all of that. An insider. She's much different than normal journalists where they sit at their desks and kind of, like...
She's an NFL gossip writer.
A gossip writer is the perfect description, Peter. And, most of the news breaks at a bar after the, combine, after the draft. I mean, she's in a lot of these more casual settings where she can get some more.
Well, if you're a gossip writer, it's probably a good idea not to be the subject of the gossip and be the reporter and remain the reporter of the gossip. Although, now her statement was, quote, "I have decided to step aside now before my current contract expires."
They let her go. They let her get out.
They gave her an
that
opportunity
way.
to resign.
Yeah.
Remember the early days of, not that long ago, but the early days of female reporters going into the locker room in the NFL, mainly the NFL, and those guys didn't pull any punches with them. You have people standing there with maybe a towel on to get interviewed, maybe not. So I don't know if we've come a long way or not.
Well, we are painting Diana Rossini. I have something to break before we go to break.
Yes, sir.
Diana Rossini, according to Fox News, saves elderly man and dog from massive car crash.
Oh, well, there you go. She's a good person.
Yeah, no, she is a great person.
How could we be denigrating this very good person?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
who's full of good judgment.
Yeah, she saved someone from possibly dying.
Look, if you're married...
That's called a human being, by the way. If you see somebody in distress, you pull over and you help. That's the deal.
But she didn't just hey, are you okay? The car was completely turned over. She went in and actually pulled the people out. I mean, calling 911, that's the human thing to do. Going in and risking your life to save someone, that is a real hero, and Diana Rossini is innocent, and I'm tired of this slander from you, Peter. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, there you go.
That'll teach you. Just remember where the Patriots dumped Mike Vrabel when he could barely play anymore.
1-800-LAW. Peter Thiel is here in the studio if you want to talk to him and try to, Oh, that's hilarious. All right.
Come and get me.
I don't know. Well, no, I'm just saying. If you're Rossini's attorney, Now, she's a public figure, so there'd never be a defamation suit that would hold water, would there? I don't think so. Not like that. But you're right. Why should she take the heat and not him?
Correct. That's my thing.
Double standard here.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back on Wake Up Missouri as we try to sort this one out. Let us know what you think. 573-874-9390.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has, Pete Hegseth has told Secretary of Navy John Phelan that you're out. And apparently there was feuding with his bosses over his handling of the Golden Fleet shipbuilding initiative. Now, this guy apparently is like a venture cap guy? I mean, what does he know about Navy? Maybe I was trying to find much about his bio, and I couldn't find that he's got much experience. But I guess you don't, in order to be a civilian leader, I guess you don't have to have, military service.
Well, it's like I remember the Democrats screaming about RFK Jr. Put it into his position. Well, he's not a doctor. Well, it's there have been almost no doctors in that position, so that's like it's a little bit specious. Now, are they going to go through and follow the policy that President Trump has proposed, is trying to do as an administration? Now, sometimes you go in and you hire somebody to go in, and their focus is not what you're focused on. And I think that has a lot to do with what's going on with Trump has put in people. They say, personnel is policy. If somebody isn't doing what needs to be done, you got to get somebody in there who's going to. You don't have a lot of time. Well, and Trump is not somebody who's waiting around.
This looks like it could have been a little bit of another one of the first Trump administration errors, which was get your friends in places that are in really pivotal authority. He's a big family friend of the Trump family, and he's an art collector, a big private investment firm guy. And his mission was to get the Navy shipbuilding initiative up. He said early on that he was going to, basically give incentives. If you're a contractor and you beat schedule, you're going to get a bonus, but you're going to share it with the workers. He's a top GOP donor. Oh, his name appeared on the flight manifest for Epstein's private plane. Only one flight from London to New York. He's denied any knowledge of Epstein's crimes. So the guy that's taken over is a Navy veteran named Hung Cao. CAO, failed Virginia Senate candidate, apparently well-liked by the president. But I don't know. You're seeing some movement in the administration, not as much as we saw and as early as we saw in the first administration. I think he made better choices this time around to begin with.
Yeah, and not everybody's going to work out. And the speed of Trump, like him or dislike him, let's be honest here. There's not a lot of waiting around. Donald Trump is a man of action. He's trying to accomplish what he said he would do, and is working very, very hard to get it done, because he's only in office for 2.5 more years.
Yeah.
It's time for him to get this done, and Donald Trump is doing what he thinks is best. I'm sure at this speed, you're going to make some mistakes. Because guess what? I make mistakes and you make mistakes too.
Well, I think this transition from a business guy who doesn't have military experience, as best I can tell, to this guy Cao has an interesting deal. Vietnamese refugee, came to Virginia as a kid, graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy, served for 25 years in Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, and he says, what we need is alpha males and alpha females who are going to rip out their own guts, eat them, and ask for seconds. That, I think, fits the Pete Hegseth
Full Metal
warrior.
Jacket line.
That's a warrior mentality, and boy, has Hegseth ever transformed that. Hey, let's move to some Missouri General Assembly matters, and in particular the Senate, when we talk with Senator Curtis Trent in just a few on Wake Up Missouri. Up Missouri on this Thursday afternoon morning, which will turn into a beautiful afternoon. It looks like the clouds are going to be clearing here, and it'll be nice. I don't know if there's clouds over Jefferson City politically or not. How are things in the budget? How are things going with the taxes? Now, I know that thing's going to be going to Missouri voters. Ramp up the income tax, ramp down the sales tax. Let's see what's happening and check in with Senator Curtis Trent from our listening area in the Springfield area. Senator Trent, welcome into Wake Up Missouri. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great.
Hey, what's going on with the budget? We only have a few more weeks to go, and we're not hearing that it's what happened yesterday overnight. We're hearing murmurs that there are some issues to be worked out yet. Where are we?
Certainly. I think there's still some issues to be worked out, but the budget is what I would consider to be on track. The Senate passed its version out of the chamber last night, which means it'll go to a conference committee next to iron out the differences between the House and the Senate. So that, individual line items will probably change a little bit as those differences get ironed out. But overall, I was very encouraged. This is a budget that comes in significantly lower than last year, and really the big differences between the House and the Senate is a lot of them are over like overall spending levels. So I think it's a budget that's broadly headed in the right direction. Still prioritizes things that are important to people in Missouri, things that are important for state government to do, but I think is over time a budget that is becoming leaner and leaner is a good thing.
So am I hearing that the two chambers are not as far apart as the east and west rim of the Grand Canyon? A little closer?
I think that's usually the case, that they're a little closer than that. I would say that this is a very achievable difference, not a chasm.
That's Senator Curtis Trent joining us on Wake Up Missouri. I'm Randy Tobler, Peter Thiel in for Stephanie Bell, Drake Whitman, and John Marsh.
Senator, where are we at on the measure that you got from the House that would, if passed by the Senate, eliminate motor vehicle inspections in Missouri?
I'm not aware of that bill having gotten any hang-ups or anything like that. It's going to be in the mix of sort of the last 2 to 3 weeks here. There'll be a lot of policy bills that have the opportunity to potentially pass and go to the governor's desk. I think that's one of them that will be in that mix. But the last couple of weeks are always very unpredictable in terms of how much floor time is available, what gets called up, what amendments get added. So it's very difficult to predict the last couple of weeks what the actual outcome will be. But if something's in the mix, and I think that one is, and you've still got a chance for those things to pass.
Hey, Senator, thank you very much. By the way, you are invited to the KWTO Politics and Pints thing on May 6th.
Come on and hang out with Eric Erickson and Elijah and everyone.
Yeah, it's Randy and Stephanie and Gary Nolan. Yeah. You're invited.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that invitation. That's probably going to be smack dab in the middle of session, but we'll see what we do.
Well, I think you know people. You can get yourself canceled out from there. Now, Senator, let's talk about, we have, obviously we've seen these stories about fraud around hospice and child care that have happened in Minnesota, California, and other states. How confident are we in Missouri that there isn't at least some of this happening, and what are we doing to evaluate these providers?
Well, of course, there's never complete and total certitude, because anytime that you have fraud occurring, it's obviously going to be done in a clandestine way. Now, I think the wide-scale fraud that you saw in other states was the result of deliberate policy choices to, in some cases, ignore the results of investigations there in Minnesota. In other cases, to structure programs in such a way that it was very easy for perpetrators to avoid, accountability measures. Missouri, we've got very conservative administration and in control of our civil service, and so I think there's a lot more controls in place that are structured. The programs are much more resistant to fraud, and I know this administration, if reports came in from investigators that there was problems, they would not be ignored.
That's Senator Curtis Trent, who, I just see graduated summa cum laude from Missouri State University.
Not a dummy.
Wow, holy cow.
Big brain on you, Senator.
I spent all my time studying.
That's pretty good. Hey, I have something I wanted to talk to you about. I was looking at the committees you sit on, commissions and so forth. You're on the Sentencing Advisory Commission. One of the things that is a constant, if it comes up once a week, it comes up 6 times a week, it seems like. Whether it's Don Luzader, John Marsh, Brian Hauswirth reporting on a heinous crime committed by a repeat recalcitrant, seems like a career criminal, sometimes way too young. And it's this revolving door. People go in, they come out. It seems like some people go in for a short amount of time for the amount of crime they did. Do you have any influence over that? What are your thoughts on our law and order, on our prosecutorial and our judicial rigor in terms of accountability and trying to break bad habits before they become deadly habits?
Well, hopefully the situation with sentencing is about to get a lot better. So I worked on a truth in sentencing bill for the last 4 years, and we were able to get that to the governor's desk and get that signed this year. And what that reform does is require that when someone is sentenced for a crime, that there's a higher and a more specific percentage of that sentence imposition that will be served. So basically, it trues up the amount of time sentenced in the courtroom with the amount of time served in prison. And I think that has a big deterrent effect.
Yeah.
I think if you're criminals out there, they're probably not always rational actors. They may not always be thinking the consequences of their actions through, but I think they realize on an instinctual level, more time served, not good, less time served, not as deterrent. And so I think there will be a big deterrent effect. I think it will also have an impact on judges and victims and other folks who are frustrated that it seems like just the phenomenon that you described. People get a sentence and then they get a hand slap and then they're out. And we shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, it really, really frosts our buns, to use a Gary Nolan term, to see that happening. I hope that you'll ratchet this down with that legislation. I think you're going to see a big change over the next few years as that piece of legislation is implemented. It'll be implemented in of course, in the end of August when bills go into effect, and then you'll see that the effects of that, I think, unfurl over the next few years. Bravo.
Senator, when we had Pro Tem O'Loughlin on with us not that many days ago, excuse me, when we asked her the question about real property tax reform, personal property tax reform, she said it's been a priority all session. Enough time left for those.
Yeah, so there could still be some standalone property tax bills go through. I think those are things that are also in the mix of things that could potentially pass. And there's also a property tax component in the income tax repeal that has passed and will be on the ballot this fall. And basically what that is if you're expanding the sales tax base, if that's a reform that the General Assembly engages in order to more quickly eliminate the income tax, there'll be a mirror effect on local governments. They'll also have an expanded base to draw revenue from. In order to prevent them from getting a windfall from that expansion, they will be required to either roll back their sales tax rates or lower their personal property or real property tax rates to use that additional revenue and to make sure that it's revenue neutral for local taxpayers.
Some of the other states that have been successful largely on the wings of not punishing people with an income tax, they still pay for their services. Florida, Texas, Tennessee. Florida has a fairly robust user fee. I mean, a lot of toll roads there. How do you feel about user fees? That's not a big topic in Missouri taxation, is it? I don't think so.
So the reform that will be on the ballot is whether or not to utilize transaction-based taxes, which are your sales taxes, for the purposes of drawing down the income tax. Commercial taxes are the least economically disruptive. I mean, all taxes are bad, but you really want to use the form of taxation that's going to be least disruptive to the economy, that can be as broad-based as possible, so that the government taxation is not creating bubbles in the market, is not benefiting or favoring one type of economic activity over another. And so that's usually the best way to go about it.
All right. Well, it's good to see some good conservative, issues making it past the finish line and onto the governor's desk, and even more to come, the way it sounds. So we'll stay in touch. I know we're talking with Cindy O'Loughlin tomorrow on the program, so looking forward to that. And I know you've worked closely with her and all the Republican colleagues. It seems like a much more productive and so far quieter session this time around.
Yeah, I think this has been a good session. A lot of big things have gotten done, and the focus has remained on trying to make Missouri the economic engine of the Midwest, make the state as prosperous and as free as possible. And I think that's the mandate that the public sends supermajorities to Jefferson City to accomplish.
Yeah, that's a good record on this America's 250th. Those principles, first principles, put in place here in Missouri. Thanks very much, Senator. Appreciate you being with us.
Thank you. Great to be here.
All right, Senator Curtis Trent. John, what's up when we come back?
Does your investment portfolio include goodwill?
Drop it off in the box out back. Oh, not that goodwill. We'll be back.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
except for this.
Sophia St. John made an unexpected discovery during a routine visit to Goodwill, the unsorted donation bins. 25-year-old says she regularly goes through discarded items in the back of the store that other shoppers typically ignore. During her last trip, she spotted a red box marked Karma and Luck among the other abandoned stuff. I open it up and it's full of money. Who wouldn't love finding a huge wad of cash? She quickly closed the box, put it in her cart to avoid attracting attention from the other Goodwill shoppers, and said, I've had people take items out of my cart before, so I didn't want anyone to see what was in the box. Purchase turned out costs less than $1, since the price bin items are sold by weight. St. John said on TikTok it was a great experience, but would not specify the exact amount. Discovered for, quote, legal reasons. One friend told the press it might be 5 figures.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's, if you hate thrifting, this is time to pick it up.
That's right. Get you a $15 mink stole and a $5 field jacket, right?
Yeah.
I love thrifting. I don't know about you guys. Do you like thrifting?
Oh, man. My wife may call in on this one.
No, you don't like it, but your wife does.
I do dumpster diving at home.
Oh, do you really?
Oh, she throws away my stuff regularly. I'm like, wait a minute. That old 8-track of, Tower of Power?
Oh, boy.
I need that. I can't. Don't throw that away.
You still have an 8-track player, do you?
So, Randy.
Not an 8-track, but I got some cassettes. Old cassettes.
Now, you are essentially a collector of items. You are a hoarder.
I'm not a hoarder. I'm nostalgic.
Would Helene say you're a hoarder?
I'll text her right now. I'll get the answer for wake up.
No, hoarding is an insatiable urge for stuff of little value. Wouldn't you say that a cassette...
to the people hoarding?
Yeah.
It is not that. Every item they have in their house that they're buried in.
No, that's not the case.
Is stuff they love.
Now, I think like many guys, tell us guys if you're with me on this. I have a problem with, I'm in a hurry to do a project. Something breaks. I need a tool. I can't find the tool. So I go buy the tool. So I have, 5 hammers.
3 of the same
5
thing.
hammers and things I can't or I need a 10 millimeter socket, and for some reason that's the one missing out of the socket.
The 10 millimeter is always the one that's
why
missing.
is it the 10 millimeter is always missing?
Because it's about as common the metric.
But I swear I put it back, or do I just get distracted? And
I think you end up getting distracted.
I think so. How would you wonder that?
Again, I hate to be judgmental here, Randy.
You're telling the truth.
But I've been through the same thing where all of a sudden, and I try to keep all my tools in the same place. I am like really on top of it. And it's all of a sudden...
And I think the women probably can resonate with something. Helene loves to cook, and many of you know, cook very healthy stuff, make healthy stuff taste really good. But, from time to time, she'll call me and say, I don't know, I'm working on something. I don't know if I have this coriander, whatever spice. Would you stop by and buy me one? So I find out when I'm looking for barbecue rub, got like 6 bottles of coriander spice later because she can't find it when she needs it, And I think we all have that in the passions we have. That one element that you need, because it's a passion and it can only be done with that one element. You have 10 of those elements because you can't find them when you need them. It happens.
Yeah, it's called the whole thing of efficiencies.
Yes.
And I think Helene is right on this.
Yeah.
Is that if you're not using, get rid of it. I just did a whole thing where I went through and repacked everything, part of my totes. And there was stuff in there. I'm just going, why did I have this?
Yeah.
There was no nostalgic reason. There was no, this is going to be something I'm going to use type of thing. That's where I'm sort of at. I have, and realizing everything now for my personal playlist, I no longer use CDs. Mm-hmm. I never have to. I can just log on and listen to whatever I want to. Yeah. And I have probably 500 compact discs.
Yeah, but there's something about the liner and the description and the pictures of the guys during the session playing their horns, singing at the mic. There's something about that. It's the difference between reading a newspaper and being on your Kindle.
Yeah, that's aspirational, though. That's sadly does not exist.
Radio people, and people confirm it, tend to hoard T-shirts and station shirts.
Yes.
True. When we come back, Steve Bucci, our national security expert, joins us on Wake Up Missouri. The latest on Iran, the Straits, coming up on Wake Up Missouri.
Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
Bypass the Democrats' filibuster in the United States Senate.
The Zimmer News Team. And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Right now, officials say the Iran war is at a standoff. The blockade remains in place. The Strait of Hormuz remains closed. President Trump says there is no expiration to the ceasefire, telling our own Martha McCall.
Well, there you go. It seems to be a stalemate, at least from what we can see on this end. But when we want to take a deep dive into national security matters, we talk with our friend Colonel Stephen Bucci, with experience all over military experiences that can be had. He joins us now. Steve, thanks for being with us. Boy, we seem to be sort of at a standstill, right or not?
Well, I mean, as much of a standstill as you're going to have, stuff is still going to happen. I mean, look, I don't know of anybody that was really overly optimistic about the negotiation part of this conflict, mostly because anybody who's, even vaguely interested and honest understands the Iranians are not really good faith negotiation partners. I guess unless you were in the Obama administration, then you thought they were just fine. But it's, it was always sort of a vague hope that this would be the way we would get this solved. I'm still, I'm always hopeful. That's a better way to do it than to shoot each other. But with some people, it doesn't work. And the Iranians are in that category. So I think there's going to be some more actions taken while still continuing the outreach. But this is going to be resolved by more of the IRGC disappearing and being taken out, more of their power removed, and then eventually the Iranian people having the ability to pass that tipping point and reach out and take their country back over. The civilians don't seem to be in charge. It seems to be the IRGC, so not even the regular military. So these are true believers, and they're willing to go down with the country if they're allowed to take it that way. And it's going to be America and Israel's job to either convince them that they're wrong or to make their decisions of no effect.
Well, at what point, it seems to me as though this is going to be a game of how much patience and resilience do the Iranian people who want to see regime change, those people who were being slaughtered in the streets, and all of the people who agree with them. I mean, how long can they put up with 200% inflation, destruction of their economy? But at a time, I mean, aren't they going to have to make a decision to either go out and try to take over and take command and take back their country, or just say, okay, IRGC, you win because we've got to eat. We got to eat and put a roof over our heads. Well, the first scenario there, I think, is what's going to happen and what I hope to happen. The second one, sadly, won't work because even if the rest of the country said, hey, and started holding up signs, America, we've changed our minds, stop bombing, we're perfectly comfortable with the IRGC. It's not just the internal issues that are at stake here. There's grave external ones. And President Trump has said, we're not going to allow that to happen. We're not going to let them control the Straits of Hormuz. We're not going to let them go on with their nuclear plans. We're not going to allow them to develop more long-range ballistic missiles with which to threaten everybody else in the region. And I don't think their neighbors are going to allow that to happen either. And now their neighbors can actually have an effect because the Iranian capabilities are so degraded. That's not an option. Even if 100% of the Iranian people suddenly went crazy and decided the IRGC is okay, it's got to go another way. Those folks have to be removed. It's going to be the only way to get to a solution. That's Stephen Bucci, visiting fellow for Special Ops and Disaster Management at Heritage. Colonel Bucci served nobly for decades, Special Forces in the Army and in the Pentagon. And he joins us on Wake Up Missouri, along with Peter Thiel in for Stephanie, Randy Tobler, I am, and Drake Whitman and John Marsh.
Yeah, my quick question on this is that obviously the Iranians are reloading in this time away from quote unquote active active combat. Aren't we just giving them a lifeline? We just need to just cut off the head of the snake and just blow the heck out of the military complex.
I understand why President Trump is doing it. He honestly does actually prefer a negotiated settlement, and he's hoping, I think, against hope, that the people making the decisions, they're not necessarily the leaders, and doing air quotes on the radio, they will see the light, they'll give up, and we can get to something that's workable. I don't think that's frankly, an option that's really still open in a realistic way. So, yeah, I think they are going to try and take advantage of it. Keep in mind, we're gathering intelligence on them all the time as well, so that if and when we go back to the shooting part of this, I think you're going to see a lot of IRGC capabilities removed very quickly, because we've now had this interregnum during which we're gathering more and better intelligence for the target process. So they're using it, but we're using it too. President Trump, doesn't want to be tarred as a warmonger. He wants to show them, hey, look, I gave them every chance to stand down. They wouldn't do it, and that's just not an acceptable situation.
Colonel, we've heard from both the president and Pete Hegseth, who stock line has been their Navy is gone. It's at the bottom of the sea. And then we see the small boat fleet from Iran that keeps attacking shipping and all that. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, the ability to hide small craft, like motorboats. I mean, I've got a 20-foot little motorboat that I take my grandkids out on Lake Michigan. They're boats of that nature. They're not even as big as like a World War II PT boat that you'd see in the movies. They're much smaller than that. They have either use them like a suicide boat, or they can even radio control them, use them as a surface drone, if you will. Or they can, put a couple of guys with RPGs on them and, drive up to a boat and shoot at them that way. So you can have a lot of those in a country where you have a lot of coastline. There are boats available. Some of them may be fishing boats originally. Some of them may have been, somebody's motorboat originally. In an autocratic government, they can just grab all those and put them to nefarious purpose. So, yeah, these are things that were at the bottom end of the targeting list. First we took out their so-called aircraft carriers, and we took out some of their drone carriers. So we've been working down that process. Plus, these kind of small craft are easy to hide when they're not out on the water. But I think what we need to do is go to a condition that we refer to in the military as weapons free, and announce anything we see on the water is going to be targeted. So if you're a fisherman, don't go out there and fish right now. Take a couple of days off, because anything out on the water is going to fall prey to Apache helicopters or A-10 aircraft or our own surface vessels, and just start removing this capability. The aerial drones are a little tougher because they can be flown from anywhere in the country. They're not necessarily all sitting on the coastline. Some of them are, and I think we should be hitting anything that even vaguely looks like it might be used as a drone launching site should be taken out near the water. But then we need to start finding it in the rest of the country, and that's tougher because it's a big country with very difficult topography, and it's easy to hide that stuff. They don't require a big airfield.
Last question, Steve. It's being reported that U.S. forces seized at least a couple Iran-linked oil tankers in the Indian Ocean, far away from the straits. Is that mission creep, or is that just all within the target of Iranian oil going to the wrong place?
It's in the latter. That is a legal action. That those ships have been under sanction for a long time, but people have sort of looked the other way, including America, which is just baffles me why we would do that. And now we're saying, you know what, we're going to enforce the rules. These are not legally sanctioned ships. They've got false flags on them from countries other than Iran, and we're going to track them down and take them anywhere in the world. We started doing that with the Venezuelans originally, and we're going to do it with the Iranian ships now, too. They are not going to get the pass that previous administrations have given them so that they can avoid the sanctions. We're strangling them economically, and this is all part of that.
It just seems like, looking at it, reminds me of the story of two different types of parents, right? Obama, Biden, hey, let the kids play all they want to. Who cares? I'm going to go bowling. I forget it. Let them trash the house. And then when a real parent comes in, boy, what a mess they have to clean up. That's what Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth are trying to do from my perspective. What do you think?
I think you're spot on with that, and that's a great analogy to help a lot of folks to understand how this works. Obama and Biden really thought Iran was, in fact, a good partner or could become a good partner if they, piled up enough goodies for them. Again, the parent who, I'll give you ice cream if you're good. Oh, sure, Dad. And then they trash the house anyway. President Trump's not playing that game.
No. All right, Steve Bucci calling them the way they are, not the way the Dems or the progressives want them to be. And it's great to have your insight, as always, Steve. Look forward to talking to you next week.
Sounds good, Randy. Take care and have a great week.
You too. Yeah, what a mess that this administration is trying to clean up on the foreign policy perspective. It's just lots of remediation that needs to be done. When we come back, Peter, are you bringing us the morning report?
I got it.
I'm praying it's good news. We'll listen in a few when Peter brings you the morning bell.
It's Wake Up
morning bell. Stephanie's out. Peter's in. Good news, Peter. I'm ready.
Okay, well, there's going to be a little bit of clawback of the games that we've enjoyed. Early on in the game, futures are saying down 250 to launch. My guess is that will it won't be that far off today. NASDAQ futures are off as well as S&P 500 futures. Devin Nunes is out as the CEO of Truth Social.
Do we know why? What's behind that?
Well, they've lost money.
Okay.
And generally speaking, somebody takes the blame if you're taking a hit. And so that's part of the thing right from there. Another thing that's going on in the news that we're going through is that the stepping down of Tim Cook from Apple.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the criticism of Tim Cook has been this, is that he has been an awesome CEO for that company, but he's not been a visionary. And it's tough to follow the visionary of visionaries in somebody like Steve Jobs, who imagined so many different things, brought so many things into our life. The other criticism is that Apple was not aggressive on AI. And that is going to be a deficit that they're going to have to make up on. So that's been a busy deal. The other thing is that flights, because of higher fuel costs, will be going up. Expect to pay a little bit more if you're flying somewhere. Pick up your tickets today.
And they've already raised the prices on baggage, right? Baggage fees from $50 to $60.
Yeah. I normally just carry my clothes with me.
Yeah.
I do it as the carry-on. I do it as simple as humanly possible when I travel.
Yeah. But I tried to tell you, wearing a swimming suit and T-shirt to the formal talk that you were giving just didn't work out well.
No, I always wear the jacket.
Yeah.
And I wear normally I wear, and
I tend to wear a blazer on the plane, and I carry some rolled up, shirts and pants in a carry-on. Works out good.
Yeah, ironing. It's people can do it.
Yeah.
And
make you at least look semi presentable.
Yeah.
So I was looking at some of the returns on the street. Peter, what's up with IBM? 7.5% loss yesterday.
IBM, which used to be the nickname for IBM years ago, was Big Blue. It was the solid stock to be in.
Oh, man. Every mutual fund.
Yes. And that was one of the biggest investments. And they've sort of lost their mojo over the years as part of they were not as aggressive on computer software, hardware as they probably should have been early in the game. They've been very, very conservative on making those next steps economically. And I don't think IBM has ever recovered from basically giving away MS-DOS to Microsoft. They gave it to them for basically a song, and because they didn't see the future in software. Imagine that.
There's some R-word talk going on around the street and in the economist community, and a CNBC survey may underlie a little bit of why. We'll ask you about what you have to do and what you think about that R word. Is it in America's future? When we come back on Wake Up Missouri. flash poll here. Because on the CNBC side, I saw that in light of the higher fuel prices that everyone's paying, and I think maybe some of that's rippling through, maybe some surcharges for delivery fees and other things, and we're all feeling it in our pocketbooks, said that Americans are cutting spending due to higher gas prices. Don't see any relief in sight. That's sort of a bad combination when the current is bad and the future looks hopeless. Well, not hopeless, but at least not hopeful. And then I read a report yesterday. Peter's in for Stephanie. John, got to ask you guys, Drake, and listeners, 573-874-9390, 800-529-5572. I saw this report. Roughly 50% of economists think that the chances of a at least according to one report, it depends who you're polling, but a substantial proportion of economists are saying there's a good chance, better than 50-50, of a recession.
Well, I'll give you a couple.
What do you think?
It's not going to have anything to do with gas prices. Mm-hmm. It mainly has to do with housing prices and confiscatory, artificially high interest rates. Okay. The interest rates have been slowing down the economy. It's to a point now where that can create a problem. And because of, and we see this in Missouri all over the place, and sometimes it's communities not being aggressive with their building process. Springfield is going through a thing now where they're basically having urban sprawl.
Yes.
Because the city of Springfield is so against any type of development in the city. I mean, it's become a real pain in the butt. I know that Jeff has limited geographic stuff, and then you're dealing with Columbia, which seems to turn down every new building project.
And oh, by the way, if you want to bring more business in, the right thing to do is raise sales tax too. Yeah, that's a good idea. And, well, I don't know. Consumer spending drives the American economy.
Sure it does.
People eventually run out of discretionary money. The other report that's on top of all this matrix is that I don't know if it's a record, but we're near record levels of consumer credit debt, right? Both on long-term goods and on credit cards. There is a breaking point to people's ability to take on more debt. And I get concerned about that. At what point does the economy really begin to serious? And here's the thing, though. If you lower interest rates, Peter, doesn't that raise the problem with inflation then? You got easy money. You got easy money.
Well, but here's the deal, is that people are not building houses. They're not building apartment complexes. They're not doing big type of projects like that because interest is too damn high.
I know Moody's in their latest study, they ran up the, then they go on a 12-month kind of clock. They said 50% shot at recession in the U.S. So, and that's Moody's.
Yeah, and again, I think that those are the main thing is that, you go in, everything seems to be more expensive. From insurance to whatever you do in your life has gone up dramatically over the last 5 years. And this is not something that just woke up when Donald Trump was reinstalled as the president of the United States.
No.
This has been going on for some time. Donald Trump's complaint is that the Fed has been too tight, these interest rates are too damn high, and he's totally right. And I don't think there's going to be a huge inflationary problem, mainly because the growth in housing costs has been a huge problem.
Did you hear our story? Wait a minute, though. Did you hear our story earlier? The Wall Street Journal, someone did a really deep dive, and they used inflation-adjusted money on the total out-of-pocket cost of a home for baby boomers back in the day. I would include myself in that back in the 80s when we were buying a house. 13% interest plus the housing cost. It was actually more costly for us to buy a house than it is now, when you factor in interest rates at that time. Isn't there a certain amount of truth to the fact that people want more than maybe they wanted in a past day for their first home? The idea of a little tiny starter bungalow is just not even on some people's minds. They got to have the big 3,000-foot spacious.
Yeah, well, the problem is that now with the higher interest rates and the higher cost of housing, it's when I moved back to Missouri, I was shocked at real estate costs. And I'm on the edge of buying a house. I would like to get a house later on this year. Uh-huh. But part of me is in the thing saying, okay, I buy a house for whatever that is. Right. Well, if all of a sudden interest rates go down, there's new construction being done, will a house that I purchase now, will that value become less?
It'll be upside down.
Yeah. And that's a real concern.
And look at the numbers we've seen. Jefferson City, I think, when we talked to the realtors about that not too long ago, they were talking their median average price for a house in Jefferson City, Cole County, was like, I don't remember what they said, $255, $260. Meanwhile, Columbia and Boone County add another $100,000 onto that for average home prices.
Yeah.
And it really has to do, there's such a limited supply. It's a long, and whenever I hear any of these people talk about affordable housing, you want to make housing affordable? Build more houses. The older properties that their value will begin to diminish, and it's more supply, the cheaper it is. Build, baby, build.
Well, here's another thought. I agree with you, but in order to build, baby, build, how about stop mandating automatic on and off, $100 electrical switches for your light switch?
No,
what's wrong with flicking the switch to turn the darn lights on?
And again, this is not the day where you're using 100-watt light bulbs.
Right.
Everybody's light bulb takes 8 watts at a time. It'll take decades to pay off that fancy switch.
Yeah.
And it's complete idiocy. I don't understand how they and I believe that there should be some zoning. Obviously, you don't want a fire trap. Obviously, you don't want. I get that. Inspections for certain things. I get it. But it should be easy, streamlined, and should be looking at the idea of building through. I saw something in California. They were building tiny homes for the homeless.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that boondoggle they have going on in California where billions of dollars are disappearing. I think the cost for a tiny, 500 square foot tiny home for a homeless person got into the $225 range.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
I don't know. You wonder how long the economy can go on borrowing and debt, both on the macro level, America's level, and on the personal level. Well, let me switch gears and ask you something. And again, I was in a good mood last night. Went to visit a patient in the hospital, and at the University Hospital. By the way, thanks for all of you folks at the hospitals around town and in Jefferson City and in Springfield. A lot of hard work being done there on a lot of sick people. I just want to thank you. I don't think they get enough gratitude. And I'm pulling out right there just outside of the hospital complex, and it happens again. It happens frequently. And I just wondered, am I unduly bothered by something that happened? I'm sitting there. I pull out of the parking garage, and I'm sitting there waiting. And this young man, college-age student, is approaching the right-of-way.
Uh-huh.
And, of course, I'm going to let him through because he's a pedestrian.
Yeah. Driving over people, never good.
I would swear on a Bible, at a minimum, he didn't change his very slow pace. And he saw me sitting there. And I would wager you a steak at your favorite steakhouse. Maybe CC City Broiler.
Retro Metro.
Or Retro Metro.
Yeah.
Depending on where you're at, right?
But both.
John, you want to weigh in on Jefferson City? I don't know. And I'd swear he may have even slowed down. When I see an auto and I'm, the pedestrian, I usually pick it up a little bit. I may even pick it up to a jog.
Yeah,
I
do
and
too.
Thank them for waiting for me.
College town.
What in the world gives with people? It's in that category of because I have a strong hand, I'm going to play it even stronger.
The entitlement, we have way too much entitlement.
What in the world? It just, okay, it's a little thing. It's not the end of the world. But I mean, young people out there, bit of advice.
Okay, Gramps.
Be humble. No. It's true. When someone obeys the law and is doing you a favor because they're obeying the law and making your life a little easier, yes, they have to obey the law. Yes, you're the pedestrian. Yes, you can go as slow. You can slow down to a turtle's pace. And that may make you puff out your chest and feel good for a moment. But if that attitude carries through to the workplace, it ain't going to work out well for you over the long term.
Yeah, but old people are allowed to take a full 2 minutes to get across the crosswalk at your favorite grocery store. Yeah. You know, maybe it's just payback. Maybe it's just payback, Randy.
Hey, Drake, get off my lawn.
573-874-9390, 800-529-5572. I think those scenarios are a little different.
You know what?
An old person with a arthritic hip doing their best to make it across the right-of-way is a lot different than a young, able-bodied, perfectly able to maybe move it a little quicker just to enable the...
That's stereotyping. How do you know? He may have... by the way, you know what bothers me even worse than that? Well, that's a pain in the neck. Is that every light is timed.
Yeah.
And because people are not paying attention or waiting for the vehicle in front of them to get 2 car spaces before moving, a third of the vehicles who get through a light during rush hour. It is ridiculous and stupid. When somebody in front of you starts moving, you start moving, then slowly give them a little extra space.
You're right. Okay, Isaiah makes a point. Oh, and let's not speak of the kids that take their sweet little time getting out of their house to the bus. I have my son out waiting on the bus, not the other way around. I don't keep him out there very long in bad weather, but the bus does not need to wait all day long for your slow kids.
You know what makes me like more angry than just like people slowing down or whatever? It's whenever you're waiting there and someone slow goes by and then like one person just starts walking right in front of you, even though you've been waiting for a full 2 minutes. It's so infuriating.
I've got another situation for you, Randy. Maybe you need to think back to your young years.
Yes.
And this was a pre-med student. Had a date with his dissection class, and he was dogging it because he was not looking forward to it. So maybe that too was in the...
Whoa.
Yeah, it's maybe it's a bitter person, bitter and angry.
I don't remember that
and
one.
upset, bitter and angry Randy Tobler.
Not me. When we come back, we'll do some leftovers. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up
United Klans of America, Unite the Right, National Alliance, National Socialist Movement, Aryan Nations.
Oh, yeah. Fighting hate groups across the nation.
Yeah, and here's the deal. What a scam this is.
Oh, man.
Their whole business is scaring people about, according to all the stats I say, at the most, there's about 6,000 members of the Ku Klux Klan in the United States. All right? 6,000. That's the biggest of those groups. All right? We live in a nation of 330 million people. That is nothing. And they've raised millions of dollars off the idea of, these hate groups that have no members. There's not a big run of people wanting to join the Ku Klux Klan.
Well, but their strategy, isn't it, to gain a lot of political capital by going after a obviously widely impugned, as they should be, hate group, to then, if they call Wake Up Missouri a hate group because we have a problem with men and women's locker rooms, oh, you guys are haters. Look at us. We hate the Ku Klux Klan, and you're a hate group, too. That gives them political capital.
Yeah, well...
One problem, they're funding it.
Yes, well, and the deal is they have the big donors from George Soros, and George Clooney sent them a lot of money. And it's an organization that had to get rid of most of their founding guys because they discriminated against blacks and other minorities. And they also, apparently Morris Dees, the co-founder...
Yeah, he got written out on a rail, didn't he?
Yes, because he apparently was a little bit of a creeper with those college interns.
Yeah. Wow.
And
well,
he was
look at the
them.
KKK, like Peter said, their membership, what is it, a few thousand now compared to the millions after World War I?
Yeah, according to all the data that I can find, is that the membership levels between 3,000 and 6,000 active members. Okay, that is nothing. There are more flat earthers than that.
0.000, how many 1%?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is an interesting saga. I think they're going to argue, aren't they, that, we had moles. We paid to have moles get embedded deep into the hierarchy of these evil organizations.
Apparently,
one of the guys,
apparently one of these guys that they were paying money to was the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux, the leader of the group.
And another one was apparently had something to do with a high level of organization of the Charlottesville deal, where that woman was killed when the car rammed through that protest there. Well, I don't know. I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see these people being called out because they were formerly decent groups doing the right thing, and then they've just gone off the rails.
Yeah, Southern Poverty Law Center. Yeah. Gary Nolan's coming up.
Gary's coming up. I'm sure he'll be talking about the latest across the globe, your neighborhood, the state, everything. We'll see you tomorrow on Wake Up Missouri.